Okay, today we're going to talk about mixing some beautiful grays, beautiful neutrals. Your grays and your neutrals used in a painting can create some wonderful energy, some just beautiful passages of subtlety that then when you put in a pigment next to it that is very saturated or very bold, it makes it pop even more. So there's a lot of really good uses for your grays or your neutrals, and I'm going to kind of use that term interspersed there. So I will start by doing some mixtures and just sort of experimenting a little with the ratio of the different pigments or colors in order to give you some idea of the difference, subtle differences that you can get in the different mixtures and the not so subtle differences you can create of these beautiful tonal grays. The colors that I am working with on my palette are all pretty minimal, not minimal, they're all pretty standard colors that you may already have on your palette. I'm not introducing a lot of secondary colors here because I want to keep this kind of simple and basic. As you learn how to handle your grays, then you can start introducing more tube colors to create even a wider spectrum of grays. But for starting out, let's just start with your basic palette colors, which include a cool and a warm temperature of each of your primary colors. And I will talk more about temperature in another video, but for this one let's just kind of dive into the mixing the grays. So what I do have on my palette is ultramarine blue deep as my cool blue, cobalt blue as my warm blue, alizarin crimson as my cool red, cadmium red scarlet as my warm red, cadmium yellow medium as my warm yellow, and I have cadmium yellow light, or sometimes I use lemon yellow as my cool yellow, and then I have titanium white. Titanium white automatically will cool the temperature of anything that you mix it with. So keep that in mind when you are trying to use a warm or a cool color temperature in your painting. I also am adding dioxide purple to my palette. You can try to mix your own purples, but I find that it's really hard to get a really clean, rich purple with these basic colors on the palette. So I usually add dioxide purple into my palette, and that will make some of this mixing a little bit easier. So I think that covers all of the colors that I'm going to be working with. I typically work on a glass palette because of the ease of cleaning it off. Today, because I'm using this limited palette, I have pulled out one of those gray matters. They're like a disposable palette sheet. I don't generally recommend working with them because I do feel that they absorb some of the oil out of the tube colors, and I don't like that they make the colors drier, and they don't feel quite as buttery, and they don't move quite as easily. So it's just my own personal opinion on it, but I am using that today for the sake of this demonstration. Okay, I will dive in and see you in a moment. Okay, we're going to start doing a little bit of mixing for neutrals. My first color that I have laid out here is the dioxine purple, so I'm going to go ahead and start out with that. We need some white with that. It is such a dark color that you can't really even see what color it is until you add a little bit of white in there. Now we're going to grab from the cool yellow and come up with that beautiful gray there. Ooh, I love that gray. Very pretty. And if we add a little bit more yellow, we'll see what happens. It still stays very neutral, but a different shade. Look at those two beautiful grays there. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to do the ultramarine blue. We're going to add a little bit of that cool yellow in there, which of course is going to make our green because we're mixing our two primaries. In order to give your neutral, then you have to use the complement of green, which is going to be your red. So we put a little bit of red in there. There's a very warm gray. Really more brown. You can reduce that by adding a little bit more of our primary colors in there. Okay, have this really pretty green gray there. Oh, that's so pretty. We'll do a cobalt. A little bit of our cobalt blue here. And again, that lemon yellow or cad yellow light, which again is going to make green. So we're going to add a little bit of our cad red light into that. Oh, I put too much. Yep, got a very red there. So you can see, you know, how much that neutralizes that red, even at that. But if I'm trying to mix up a gray, then I've just gotten too much of that red in there. Add a little bit more of our yellow and a little bit more of our cobalt here. And that gives us our gray. You can push these grays one direction or the other by adding more of your color, one more ratio of one than of the other, and that will just make it be more one color than another. A little more red, a little more blue to that. And look at same colors used on that as the one above it, but just a totally different ratio. Much more of the blue in this one, much more of the yellow in this one. I'm going to do alizarin crimson here. Mix that with our lemon yellow, and that will give us an orange. And the complement of orange going to be your blue. This is your cobalt blue that I'm mixing in here. Add a little white to that just so you can better see what color tone you're getting there. How pretty. Add a little white to this first mixture we made as well, so you can better see the tone we've got here. That's this one with white added to it. And remember, the white does also cool it off a bit, so it is lighter, but it is also a little bit cooler because of that titanium white. But look at the beautiful range of those neutrals that we have happening here just with those few color mixtures, and they're just so lovely. Now we mixed the dioxine purple with the cool lemon yellow and came up with these combos. Let's see what happens if we mix that dioxine purple. Again, I'm going to add a little white because dioxine is so intense. Beautiful purple. Now we're going to add a little bit of the warm yellow in there and cad yellow medium. Ooh, and that gives us a warmer neutral. If we add a little bit more of the purple in there, it gives us this pretty color. Look what a difference you have between the warm cad yellow medium mixed with the dioxine and the cool lemon yellow mixed with the dioxine. So it can make a big difference. And of course, always adding the white is going to make everything cool off, but also it's going to lighten everything up so that you can see your color tones better. I think I've got enough color in this one that I can just add a little white to one side of it and show you that sort of greenish gray color, and above it that warmer, more reddish gray tone. So the best thing to do is to just do some of your own little experiments like this and familiarize yourself with how these different colors combine to make these beautiful grays. When you start getting beautiful grays, then you have that option of putting that pop of brilliant color right next to your gray, and it would just jump right off the page. I'm going to take a little example here of this sort of green gray tone and lay it out here in a little bit of a swatch. Then I'm going to put a bright orange right in the middle of that. And look how beautiful that is. And that's not even really on there very well. There, that's a little better. We add a little white to this gray. Look at that beautiful pop of color right in the middle of there. It's beautiful. Okay, so that'll give us some idea of how to mix some of your primaries with the complement, your secondaries, in order to come up with beautiful neutrals. Okay, hope that gives you somewhere to start and to have some fun with some of these grays and do some experimenting. A color combination that I think really makes some beautiful grays is this dioxine purple with little white with yellow ochre, which is not one that I put on your palette, but quite often have on my own palette. And that just makes such a beautiful gray, just one of my favorites. Look at that color, so pretty. A little bit of white to better see it. And remember, you can, push it one direction or the other, warmer, cooler, greener, more red, depending on which you add, which is your ratio is more predominant. And then once you have sort of mastered how to create these beautiful neutrals, you can start incorporating these into your paintings. Remember, it's not about the value here. It is about a combination of the hue and the saturation or intensity of your pigment. So you can make your grays all different values to correlate with what the value is that you need in your painting, while still keeping them more subtle and more subdued. Okay, thanks everybody.